everybody, and welcome to this Heroes of the Storm video here on Games for Gamers. Today we are on the PTR taking a peek at Lieutenant Morales, the newest healer that will be coming to Heroes of the Storm, also known as the Medic. And when I say peek, it's funny because her biggest weakness is going to be enemy poke. You know, it's kind of funny. They softened Sonya up a little bit and they made her face more attractive from the original Sonya. I think the face of this medic over here is definitely nowhere near as attractive as her Starcraft representation. I would definitely be going the Apothecary Morales if I were to get her. And I think I probably would, so I see myself getting the bundle. The voice is way better in this skin. Does look very Warhammer-ish though. If you see it from the back, it looks very Warcraft-ish. The undead apothecaries, like Professor in ICC. And she has not done her voice yet. Yeah, it's so much better. It sounds like it's coming in from a control room. But it's not quite as radio chatter sounding as her normal one. I would much rather go through an entire match of listening to Apothecary Morales than stock. And this is definitely the color scheme that I would be picking all the time. If I had the choice, this is what I'd be aiming for. Here on stock Morales, there's one very alliance-y colored Morales over here. I do like the coloration and the contrast and whatnot. However, I hate the fact that it is alliance-based, so I wouldn't be using it a whole lot. If I was to just do stock Morales, I would definitely be pushing towards this one right over here. This one sort of kind of reminds me of the Xenogear saga. The green and the gray seems very, I think it's Cosmos-ish. And there's the Caduceus right there on the shield. So her abilities are a healing beam, which is Q, safeguard, which is W, displacement grenade is E. Healing beam heals an ally as long as they are in range. You can click yourself to turn it off, or you can swap it immediately to somebody else, just like this basically turns her into the medic from TF2. And there really is no other way of describing it. It is TF2's medic, except she's not building towards any personal charges. The range is pretty solid on this. However, it really does kind of mean that she will need to be the Sergeant Hammer of defense. What Hammer does for offense and Hammer's position on a fight is basically Morales' position on a fight, but more on that in a little bit. Safeguard is a shield reducing damage taken by 25% for 3 seconds. There are talents for this, one of which grants it to 4. So that means for 4 out of every 15 seconds, an ally will be taking 25% reduced damage. Displacement grenade, which is her only offense other than her ploppy sounding auto attack. 12-second cooldown, you fire a grenade that explodes when it first hits and deals damage and knocks everybody away from the impact. Caduceus Reactor is her trait where she starts regenerating health after not taking damage for 4 seconds. This is her only heal aside from 1 or 2 talents. She has no way to heal herself at all, except for a talent or 2, but more into that. So that means she can safeguard herself, but she can never aim the beam on herself. So this is her way of being able to stay out in combat. This Caduceus Reactor honestly should change her range support difficulty rating to high or hard, because it means you need to know how to position yourself in combat. You are definitely going to have to be a super backline healer, unlike, say, a Rhaegar who could be up front trying to wolf bite people for extra damage, a Karazim who is healing via damage, A LiLi who can afford to get a self-target on herself. Malf, LiLi, they're kind of the midline healers. Rhaegar on melee comp could be very much in the front line. Nobody really suffers anything negative per se being a healer on the front line, but Morales definitely does. So you have to be very aware and have a lot of very good micro on Morales to do your job properly. Her heroics are Stim Drone, which is a 90-second cooldown for 10 seconds. 10 seconds. An allied hero gains 75% attack speed and 25% movement speed. This is huge. You gotta see this in action. This lasts for what seems like a lifetime. And the medivac dropship. Target a location for the medivac transport for up to 10 seconds before takeoff. Allies can right-click to enter the medivac. So let's actually jump onto the field over here. There's her bundle. It's coming in at $13 to get both. That is definitely the way that I would go if I decide to get her. I would try very hard not to be on stock medic. So we're going to drop into the simulator. My talents will be set for 20 because it's remembering my previous items. So here we go. Arthas will be coming in. And there's my heal beam. As you see, it is not costing me any mana until I actually need to heal. And I can do other things while the heal beam is active. Because the heal beam comes from my robotic arms and not anything with my real arm. So I can definitely walk and chew gum at the same time. And you can see the range here. There's the range. As soon as they get out, it holds on for a little bit. And then disappears. The grenade is just about at the range of the heal beam, so you have at least a little bit of an idea how far out your grenade will go. Well, it's actually, yeah, no, it's considerably further. I take that back. And it looks like, see, Malf is doing a pretty good job here for AI. If Malf gets out of the circle, Malf is coming back in, and it's actually not disrupting the beam. So here, prolonged safeguard, trauma trigger, feedback loop, scouting drone. Scouting drone is what you're going to need if you are up against stealth comp. However, if you have other people that can reveal stealth, I think it would be the preferred method. Feedback loop says safeguard returns mana when it expires. Trauma trigger, automatically get a safeguard on yourself, untalented, if you find yourself below 30%, or increasing the duration of safeguard by a second. I would say the knee-jerk on this one is going to be prolonged safeguard unless she shows up as having mana issues, and then in that case feedback loop might definitely be the way to go, especially if you are constantly having to protect a lot of people on your team because you don't have a lot of support. So I'm going to go ahead and pick feedback loop over here. Here at talent tier 4, Bioshield Advanced Block. I'm just kind of really ignoring the grenade talents because I don't ever see a case where she is going to be the offense if multiple supports are out on the field. Grants a shield if they are at full health. The shield does not cost mana to create. Or advanced block. If the enemy team is doing its job and poking at you constantly, advanced block might be the way to go, but they really did not make it synergize with her trait. Her trait says that if she's not taking damage, she gets the Caduceus shield. Well, unlike other block talents in this game, this one is not about dodging the enemy attack straight out. It's simply about reducing the damage. So this sort of doesn't have the benefit that you would hope that it would. If it actually made you dodge the attack, then it might be worth it. So I would think that the bioshield is going to be the way to go on that one. However, we need to have information as to how that interacts with other people's shields. What's going to happen with a Chen? What's going to happen with an Anub? What's going to happen with a Kerrigan on this one? Here it's 7. Clear. Increase area, bigger knockback, irradiate, mule, and cleanse. Well, again, passing through clear, because who cares about these fucking grenades. Irradiate, mule, and cleanse. Well, mule is obviously going to be map dependent. Potentially comp dependent if you're seeing a lot of siegers, you know, hammers, gazlos, abathurs, but mostly map dependency like Blackhearts, the Cursed Hollow, and Sky Temple might be where mule comes into play. But again, if you have other mulers, it might be better if they do it. Irradiate is going to be very, very good if you have a very good tank on your team that is constantly in the front lines and soaking, or you have cleanse. Irradiate is very good also with dive comp and very good melee auto attackers, your Zeratools, your Illidan's, and your other very good tanks like Johanna, Arthas, Leoric. I mean, may help offset some of Sonya's squishiness a little bit by just helping her melt people. Cleanse is going to be if you're facing a very disable-oriented team on the enemy side. Your Kerrigans, Arthas, Johanna, Mouth with things, Tyrande with the stun, but I'm going to go with Irradiate. And we'll see here, when I pop him, I'm doing 200, but when he gets near Mouth, he's taking an extra 26 damage just from being close to Mouth and attacking him. The grenades, as you can see, may not always penetrate to the hero if a minion's in a way, so bear that in mind for why you should probably just not ever really be doing much offense other than an auto attack. But if this was competitive play right now, I would want to be back over here. That takes me... Look at how close I have to get to auto attack. Well, alright, let's see if we can set up over here. So there's the shield on myself. I really wish Malf would just stay in there and fight, but it's Malf. Okay. So here I am back here pretending this is competitive play. If I wanted to auto attack, I have to shoulder, so auto attacking with a ranged character could be a dicey prospect. We'll pick the stim drone for now, and I'm going to go ahead and activate that. And you can see here, Malf is... Look at Malf go. Look at how long this is lasting, and look at how fucking... Look at this. It just ended. That is huge. That is super, super huge. Imagine that on an Illidan, or a Zeratool, or like a Leoric. That brings his auto attack speed into something decent at that point. Plus it's a really cool effect and cool sound effects. 13. This is going to be... We're going to turn stuff off for a moment. 13 is the hardest tier to pick, I think, for Morales. You have Intensive Care, Couples Therapy, Preventative Care, Spell Shield. Spell Shield is good if you're not facing a lot of auto attackers and you're just like Kales and Jaina's and everything like that. Intensive Care and Preventative Care are rough because they're both going to affect the same kind of healing target. So I'm going to talk about Couples Therapy first. Healing Beam also heals you. This has 100% value. at all times, any map, any composition. At 13, you're never going to be by yourself. Maybe in the beginning, if you were like just sitting down by a gate, soaking experience, and like your stupid team went all crazy, like at that watchtower on Booty Bay, and you're the only one smart enough to go to a different lane. Other than that, couples therapy has 100% value. Intensive care, it just basically says the beam heals you if it's healing somebody else for an additional 4 mana per second if you need the heal. Intensive care and preventative care both are going to have value on good tanks and a lot of very single target healing. Intensive care is going to be more single target than preventative care. Intensive care says when the heal beam is on a target for more than 3 seconds, the healing amount is increased by 25%, but the mana cost is increased too. This is very good, again, with single target healing compositions. A good Jaina, a good Johanna, not a Jaina, excuse me, a good Johanna, a good Leoric, a really good Arthas or an Anub, maybe a Chen, just somebody who is... Chen, this would probably have a huge amount of value, because he could just sit and drink shields up and never really leave the front line for anything. You're going to have to make a decision based on your tank as to how good intensive care is going to be. Or if you're just doing a lot of duo laning this late in the game. Preventative care says basic attacks against your healing beam target reduce their attack speed by 25%. Very, very good for a dive comp melee like your Illidan's, potentially your Zeratools if they're aggressive, are going to benefit from this. And tanks, anybody who is constantly around 4 to 5 people on the enemy team is also going to benefit from preventative care. But unlike intensive care, if you're going to be switching the beam a lot and you're going to be switching it to, you know, from your Leoric over to your Zeratul, over to your Illidan, they're all going to get that benefit, and they're all going to be spreading that slowing herpes to the enemy team. The thing that's going to reduce this effectiveness is if the enemy team is not auto-attack heavy. If they're very ability-based, these two are completely opposite of each other, except Spell Shield is only for you. I'm going to say couples therapy is going to have the most amount of value here because it will apply to 100% of the circumstances. So I will do that, and it also fixes her only weakness. Here at 16 we have Inoculation and Shield Sequencer, so I'm going to call her Power Spike 13, honestly. Safeguard's initial damage reduction for the first 1.5 seconds ramps up to 50. This is going to be the pro talent or the team talent. If you are very intimate with your heal targets, being teamed or on voice comp, or being super smart, or, you know, you've played with a good heal target the entire match, Inoculation is going to be good because you're going to need to know when to place the shield out. If your Illidan's about ready to dive in, do it. If your Johanna's about ready to condemn everybody to her, do it. If your ETC's about ready to slide in, do it. Or, you know, Sonya's going to jump in on people. Zeratul's about ready to unstealth. Really, really good. Shield Sequencer may be the more common pick. When casting Safeguard, you cast the second time within 3 seconds at no extra cost. So there's that. It's sort of like Mish's I missed the bear charge, I'm going to do it again talent. Really, again, 100% value is it offsets her weakness. It's free, and since you have no real way of healing yourself other than the Caduceus Reactor, it is a super good way to go. Transfusion, Medbay, Caduceus Reactor, Storm Shield. Well, Transfusion says that your heroic, if that's what you picked, lasts longer. I'm gonna have to see if I can double shield myself there. Another 2 seconds on an already super long talent is going to be very, very good. You know, honestly, yeah, she's not going to be able to solo that, as you can see over here. Transfusion is phenomenal. It does affect yourself, and you get very speedy too. Caduceus Reactor 2.0 is not going to mean anything if the enemy team is poking you heavy, which is what her weakness is. If you got people that can reach her, even in the back line under some way, you may never have this ability getting activated properly. So if you consider yourself good at positioning, good at movement, Caduceus Reactor is solid as you gain mana and shields when your Caduceus Reactor activates, but if you're just getting poked way too hard, this immediately drops out of the equation. And then in Storm Shield, everybody knows what that is, so we're going to go Transfusion. We're going to turn the minions back on, and I'll show you what Transfusion does over here. So we're going to set the beam up on my Malfurion. We're going to retreat behind him. You can see at least I can hit the grenade from back here. Now watch what's going to happen on the Transfusion. I'm going to get in an auto attack range. And watch. I mean, if you need, look at how it's still going. I mean, that may create incredible burst, and it may actually mean that for a change, her attack may actually have value. So if you're running with somebody and you think that that burst can help them kill somebody, especially with your assistance, even like a Leoric, then that is definitely the way to go at that particular point in time. I mean, 12 seconds of essentially what is a bloodlust, a single target bloodlust, nutty fucking huge. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up the video over here. I hope you took a look at the talents with me over here, and if you've got any comments or changes to my style of picking talents and playing her and everything, then by all means let me know down in the comments, and let me know what you think of her, and let's see when she shows up on Live Hots. Take care, everybody.